As we move on to a further update coming out of the region, US air defenses have successfully intercepted a drone near a military base close to Erbil International Airport, according to security sources. The drone was neutralized before it could reach its intended target. No casualties or damage were reported from the incident. The situation is being closely monitored as tensions in the region continue to rise. Hamid, of course, pretty much the entire airspace of the Middle East is closed due to these escalations. How are the people in the Iranian community that you are in contact with being affected by this? Of course, things are unclear. We are seeing strikes and drones fly between the likes of Bahrain to Dubai. Hamid, what more can you tell us about what the people there are saying?
So the internet coverage, the internet speed from within Iran has been cut out again since the attacks started. Just a few minutes after the attacks started, but there has been like on and off. So we have been in contact with some members of the community inside Iran, but not everyone has internet. But from what I've heard firsthand. People are doing their own life. So they are, taking footages, taking, videos of what is happening, but they're going to, they're going to, about their day. So they're going to work, they're going to see each other, but they are very vigilant of, staying away from the military bases and, government buildings and stuff like that to stay secure. Their daily life is impacted because of them trying to be cautious, but the excitement is in their voice. And from the other hand, the oppressive forces of the regime are on the street. So there are many of guards, like a special kind of police with all of the armors and stuff, are scattered around the city, and they're trying to control people that there won't be another uprising, which people are not trying to do at this stage. They're just listening to Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi and also President Trump that this is not the time for another, coming to a street and showing up and protest. It is now time to go to home, stay safe. We are doing our own job. After a few days, we'll let you know. So it is impacting their lives, but I think they're just mostly happy.
Hamid, do stay with us once again as we turn to our next development. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations has issued a warning regarding significant military activity in the Arabian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, the North Arabian Sea, and the Strait of Hormuz. The advisory highlights a highly volatile maritime security environment with ongoing regional military actions escalating threats to commercial shipping. The UKMTO emphasised the increased risk of miscalculation or misidentification near military units and sensitive maritime infrastructure. It also noted that while claims of the Strait of Hormuz's closure have circulated, no official closure has been communicated through recognised maritime safety channels. Tensions are also elevated in other regions, such as Bab al-Mandab. Hamid joins us once again. This was, of course, expected. Iran and the Strait of Hormuz are, of course, very closely located together, with Iran pretty much having control over the waterway and also the ability to close it if it indeed wanted. The UK there issuing some advisory to its trade routes and its trade partners using that region itself. Was this inevitable, and do you think that this possibly could have been prepared for better?
I think it was inevitable. So it was well anticipated by the forces. So, but this is the last resort for the regime. And the regime has been threatening the world with this, closing of this Hormuz Strait for many years. And I think the joint forces of Israel and U.S. that they are prepared for that. So if such a thing happens and they try to close the strait completely and attack ships, which they have done, I think they will get the response. So it was going to happen. And there was no chance that, as I mentioned, this was the last resort. And with the amount of forces that are in the region, with all of those, strike groups and all of the, air forces that are there, they were going to do it for sure.
Do stay with us once again. We have some news coming out of Israel, where the Israeli government and the military has denied any involvement in a strike on a school in Iran, despite Iranian claims that such an attack took place the previous day, resulting in over 100 deaths. The Israeli military has stated that it was not aware of any US or Israeli strike on the Minab school, emphasizing that their operations were conducted with extreme accuracy. According to Iran's Red Crescent, the strike on Minab school, located in southern Iran, killed 108 people, with many of the victims reportedly being students. The incident, which occurred in the city of Minab in Hormozgan province, has raised alarm about the impact of military action on civilians. Hamid, we were, of course, all flooded on social media with news of this, with some graphic visuals being leaked on certain platforms. How and if would we be able to check the credibility of Iran here, given that, of course, as you've mentioned, it's going through a sort of internet blackout and has been ever since the start of the year, pretty much. We've mentioned 108. Previously, but Iranian authorities have put the death toll up to 148 and said that it was mostly female students that have been killed in this attack. How much do we know about this incident, and what do you make of the Israeli claim of denying that that they had any involvement?
I think it was a girls' school, so that's the reason most of the students are girls and females. I've been receiving conflicting kind of news. So before it was, spread in the news and media and social media, we all have received, like Iranians, through the channels and direct contact with the families and friends inside Iran. We received the footage of a missile being shot and being fired from like very close to close proximity to a building, very similar to the school of the subject, and it went to the sky, and the footage shows that it goes up like, I don't know, 50 meter, 100 meters, something like that, and it just circles around and comes back and hits the ground. So it could be a mistake if this footage is related to that school, which I think it is, and everyone says it is. It could be a mistake of trying to fire a missile and sending it somewhere else, and it just didn't work. Or it could be a plan that we know the regime has been doing for a lot of years, and it's one of their tricks. So they just kill people, they just do something. They have started this from 50 years ago. They burned 300 people in a cinema to try to victimize themselves and try to put the fault on someone else. So this was their plan. It is actually was one of the warnings that was given to the people of Iran, that to be aware of such situation and just stay away from the crowd. Don't go to schools, don't go to workplaces, don't go to the government buildings and stuff, because the regime will try to attack those bases, those buildings and organizations, to try to show that Israeli forces or U.S. forces, they are killing people. So it's a conflicting kind of news, but that's the best thing that I could make out of it.
Of course, we'll be keeping tabs on that situation. Hamid, once again, do stay with us as we turn over to further updates. Of course, we're getting a lot of information coming in. Israeli Defense Forces confirm that their fighter jets struck 2 Iranian F-5 and F-4 fighter aircraft at Tabriz airport in western Iran while they were being readied for takeoff. The Israeli Defense Forces further add that the strike was conducted to degrade the Iranian Air Force's activities and to further expand the degradation of their aerial defense. We have some more breaking news coming in. The Israeli President Isaac Herzog has expressed hope that the ongoing confrontation with Iran will mark the beginning of a new era for the entire Middle East, including Iran. Speaking in Tel Aviv, Herzog referred to the conflict as a historic effort to reshape the region's future towards peace. The remarks came as he inspected a site where an Iranian missile had struck the previous day. Herzog emphasized that Israel would overcome the challenges ahead and work towards a peaceful future for both the region and Iran. Let's take a listen in to the Israeli president. Let's take a listen in.
But what undermines peace all the time is terror instigated by this Iranian evil regime. That's why we're here. The people of Israel are strong, the Israeli army is strong, the American army is strong, and of course, our allies are strong. And let nobody fool himself. We shall overcome and hopefully bring a new era to the Middle East and Iran.
Hamid, a lot to unpack there. First of all, let's start with the idea that 2 Iranian military aircraft, apparently F-4 Phantom IIs and an F-5 Tiger II, was struck on the ground at Tabriz airport in western Iran. Now, a lot of people are comparing this with the 2003 war in Iraq and the initial invasion that the United States made on that country. However, Iraq, of course, a much smaller and a lot less structured military that the Iranians have currently. What more can you tell us about the capabilities of the Air Force that the Iranians have at their disposal right now, after and of course the damage that the Israelis did indeed put on the Iranians during that 12-day war back in June of last year?
Sure. I think the strength of the Air Force of Iran, everything that it has, even these F-4s and F-5s that you're talking about, they are from before 1979, so they are very, very old. Most of them, they don't even have repair parts, and they just dismantle one of the F4s or one of the F5s, and they try to repair the others and service the others. So most of them are not even capable of doing any action, and they don't have the full capacity. So Iran has been bragging about buying the latest and greatest fighter jets from Russia or from China and stuff, but most of them are not properly received or properly working or in service. So the Air Force of Iran is not that great. So they are still working. They have still some fighter jets that can work, but not comparable to anything like Israeli Air Force or U.S. Air Force, that's for sure. But the most of the strengths of defense of Iran is the missiles. So ground to air missiles and the ballistic missiles and stuff like that. But I don't think they have anything that is comparable or can do any kind of attack or defense and comparing to what is coming from Israelis and U.S. And I think the attacks that has happened in June, a few months back, during the 12-day war with Israel, and also from yesterday, after these hundreds of the different, so that they have hit like airports and shelters and many, the radar system and many other things. I think they are weaker and weaker. You're right about, Thomas, you're right about the scale and difference of the size of Iran and Iraq, but we're talking about an Iran that has been like paying a lot of money to proxies and just trying to attack other countries and not paying attention to its own military and defense system. It's all about, trying to get to Israel.
And we heard those comments there, Hamid, from the Israeli president, saying that this is going to be a new era for the Middle East. Once again, separating. They're always very conscious to do that separating the Iranian regime from the Iranian people. How useful or much of a pro is that to this cause? The fact that the Israelis do consistently make that distinction when it comes to describing this conflict and the ongoing disparity in the region.
I think it is a true fact. I think maybe it is very important that every time these world leaders are talking about Iran, they should differentiate between the regime and Iran. Iranian people, they are very different. More than 95% of people of Iran, the population of Iran, they are not with the regime. The regime is just being led and being supported by less than 10%, 5% of the country. And they're thinking very differently. The fact that the regime has this agenda of, wiping out Israel from the world, that's not acceptable by people. People of Iran, they are celebrating now, but that they think that the fact that they think that this regime is going to fall, is going to be taken down, they're just celebrating. It means that they're different. And I think those notes, those comments that this will be a new era for Middle East, I think that is correct. The free Iran tomorrow, the day after the regime has fallen, it will be a different world. It will be a different region with that version of Iran, because Iran is going to be a powerful ally to democracies, great democracies in the world. It will be a great neighbor. It will be a cooperating neighbor, and it will be a force for democracy. It has been like that before 1979. We have been practicing democracy, like modern democracy, since 1906. It was a constitutional democracy, constitutional monarchy, up until 1979. So we know how to do it. The country is ready, and we have a leader, we have a transitional leader. We know what we want. We have a plan to rebuild the country, to rebuild the relations with Israel, with the US. We have, it is part of the plan to stop this nuclear program. So everything after freeing Iran, has to work with the rest of the world, and it is part of the plan.
And Hamid, just stay with us one final time as we move on over to Europe for some reactions. The European